All right, so we'll go ahead and jump right into the presentation. Scott and I hail from the Integrated Payments Division within Vantiv. Our focus is really on developers that, not the tier one developers, not the group that has their own resources and really specifically focus on payment aspects as well as the business aspect, but really focused on those middle tier, mid-tier type developers that are launching solutions within small to medium-sized businesses, really going out and creating, for example, your local laundromat or your healthcare spa type solutions. So really what we do is we focus on providing solutions for that market, and today we're here to show our latest solution that we have that we're offering up, which is really, and you'll see this a lot in the industry, is it's really a middleware type solution, and we'll kind of give you some information over it. Scott's really going to go through the meat of things, so I'm just going to do a quick background and then let Scott jump right into it. So really the problem statement that we were trying to solve with our products is really how do these developers who really focus on and really know the business aspect of it, how do they deal with all the new requirements that's come up in payments? Specifically for them, the challenges have been wrapped around the EMV requirement as well as this idea of securing cardholder data. So those are really two requirements that have come into this industry that have really knocked this specific group because their focus is on the business application. It's not on the payment aspect. In fact, the payment aspect is only about 5 to 10% of their overall products. So they're focused, and they don't carry a lot of developers. They don't carry specialized developers for the payment. So really, it's how do we take care of that? And the solution came about, and what it really came out is that we started providing a middleware solution. The middleware solution that actually where we handle the payments on behalf of the partner. So we go out and we provide this application, a software-based application that really only requires one integration. So the developer can come in and integrate to this application. The benefit of that is they actually, as you can see, they get multiple devices through that single integration as well as they get multiple processors. So when they're out there trying to sell their solution, they don't have to go to merchants that are only stuck with a single processor. They can actually go out to merchants that want any type of device, as well as the fact they can actually go out to any type of processor. So the double benefit in the fact that they only have to do one integration to support this. Additionally, the solution provides security wrapped around the cardholder data, so there's never any cardholder data in the merchant environment or in their development environment, both. The data is actually encrypted at the point of swipe, and it's encrypted all the way through the system, all the way back to Vantiv in this case, right, before we route it out to wherever we need to route it. So time to market certifications, as we've gone through this with different partners out there that have tried to do their own certification, we're seeing that the average time for a certification for EMV in the industry is taking about 6 to 9 months per certification per processor. So you start adding those up. If they want to support multiple processors, you're talking about years of certification. The benefit is this: people can typically integrate to this platform in 4 to 6 weeks. So 4 to 6 weeks, and all of a sudden now they have EMV certifications to all the different processors, as well as a support of about 10 different devices that they can offer up to their merchants. Again, talked about choices, and then again it's focus. There's no really, and Scott's going to go through this when he goes through the meat of this, it's a very simplistic integration. You don't have to have payment expertise to offer up this solution. You can actually do this without even knowing payments at all. We actually provide the whole component for you, the API for you. It's a very simple, quick, time-to-market type solution. So I'm going to walk through just kind of those. The solution itself really has multiple variations on it. So let's see if we get this. From an overall standpoint, if you can see that out there, basically there's 3 different types of solutions. We have one that's a distributed type solution, which is the first one that you see here down in the bottom left-hand corner. Really focused on installing something locally. That was what we launched with a few years ago. The bad thing about that one is that it requires a lot of maintenance. It's up to the partner to maintain it. They have to update it whenever we have changes, things like that. And so we've had a lot of partners complain, as well as a lot of the new developers we're seeing in the industry are actually cloud-based. Their point-of-sale systems are actually cloud-based. So we launched that initially about 2 years ago. About a year ago, we launched a mobile solution, very similar to the distributed. It's done as an SDK linked. But what we're really here to talk about today is our final iteration of this, which is the last one here, which is basically the cloud-based solution. The idea is that there's actually nothing installed in the merchant environment. The developer keeps their point-of-sale solution up in the cloud. It's all accessed by the merchant through a browser, as well as from a standpoint of running the actual EMV stuff. It's all driven from the cloud. The only thing that's ever put in and installed, and you'll see this up here as we show you, the only thing that's actually installed in the merchant environment is actually the device itself. They take it, device as simple as they take it, they plug it into the Ethernet, and they wait back, and it'll come back with a registration code. They take that registration code, and they enter it into the developer software, and they're up and going. It's that simple for the merchant. So there's no maintenance done at that level. It's all done in the cloud. All right, so that's kind of the background behind it. Scott, we're going to actually show you one of our demos here real quick, and then Scott's going to jump into it. We actually brought in the Alexa here to show, and she's going to respond to me. We brought in Alexa here to kind of...
What do you want to hear?
So we brought her in here to show kind of, she represents the cloud-based...
What do you want to hear?
The cloud-based point of sale, right? So that this is the cloud-based, and it's actually accessing our cloud-based product, and then we've installed locally, and if Scott can show the camera, you can see that we've just taken this device. All we did was, when we came up and set this up, is plug it into Ethernet, and that's all we did. All right? Alexa, ask Tripods to run a sale.
What's the amount for this sale?
$12. So you're going to see that Alexa immediately reach out to that lane and start that process and start driving the transaction. Now, all this is being driven through the cloud.
This is EMV. Shipment signature. We're going to confirm the amount for $12, what he asked. Processing. Ooh, approved. All right.
And that is an actual EMV transaction running through our cert environment.
The signature. This chip and signature. All right. Please remove card. We have the beeping turned down so you don't hear it.
Your sale has been approved.
So that's the function of it. It kind of shows you how easy, how simple it is, and the timing that we get from the cloud. And because the data that we're transmitting is so small, pretty much in today's networking world, there's no delays at all. It's very quick. Go ahead, Scott.
So, Coy, why don't you go ahead and plug in the other pin pad here, because what we're going to show is how easy this is to set up. So we brought another one just to plug in. So while he's doing that, now that you've seen the Echo demo, I'd like to dig in a little bit and show you a little behind the curtain of how Tripod's cloud really works. We'll start with the terminal setup. He's plugged that in. So one of the biggest challenges our customers face is the deployment of terminals. And especially with EMV, remote configuration and setup have not always been straightforward. I'd like to walk you through the customer experience with Tripod's cloud. So the merchant is using your software as a service, web-based software, using a browser on a computer or a mobile device of their choosing, and they want to start accepting EMV. So they order a terminal. So we have the Verifone MX915 here. So you'll simply open up the box and plug it into the internet. So as that's booting up, ultimately an activation code will display, and you'll actually pair it. Just getting the activation code, and you'll enter that into your software. So what I'd like to show you is a little bit about how that API looks. We do have some APIs here. So everyone's favorite Postman, you can see that okay. The authorizations and the headers, but the basic body of this message that you'll be setting up in your software to pair that terminal once it's set up is the lane ID, the terminal ID, the description, and an activation code that shows up on the display. So that's booting up. We'll get back to that in a second. Okay, here it goes. All right. It's blank there, but an activation code. We're waiting for that. All right, we're waiting for that. I'm going to have to, we're going to go actually open up this application I have over here, which we've actually built out a web app that actually calls this API so that it allows us to add a lane.
What's up?
All right, we have it up here. So you can see I'm basically creating a web page that's going to show that. We have the activation code here that showed up. So customer gets it, plugs it in, gets the activation code. Let's go ahead and pair this. So we're going to do the lane ID. We're going to do 303. New York, FinDEVr Live. All right, what's the activation code on that? It is
CSMJM1D.
All right, just so you see this happening. That is the activation code. All right, and we're going to go give it a terminal ID of 6. Let's go ahead and create that lane. All right. So now what's happening, let me switch back to here. Immediately you see that it's downloading the EMV and configuration tables and everything and updating it with the latest, because one of the things with EMV, it always is updating. We don't want to ship these. They've been sitting in a warehouse for months and then have to get them reprogrammed. It's doing it at the latest update that it needs. So while that's updating, I showed you a little bit of the API. Let me go ahead and take you through our Vantiv 1. So I wanted to show this a little bit real quick so that while that's pairing. So in our developer.vantiv.com website, you can come in here and actually peruse the APIs, understand how it is to integrate. Let's go ahead. We're going to go to point of sale. because there's card present, card not present. We're going to take you down to the integration methods here. And this is where you can learn about Tripods Cloud and the Express Gateway that he talked about. So in the Tripods Cloud overview, there's lots of information here. I'm not going to go read through this. I'm going to kind of get to the meat of it, as Coy said. Talk about the different endpoints that we have and get to the actual Swagger documentation so you can see all the different things that you actually can do with the terminal. Not only can you do payment flows, but you can also do custom flows as well, which we'd love to demonstrate for you today. So one of the things, the basic things that we have is the sale. So as I'm going down to find that, it's in alphabetical order here, just real simple sale endpoint. You can kind of see the types of parameters that you have. We have the headers, which is all the authorization, and understand, kind of all the different types of options you can put in here. You can do it very simply. These are not all required fields. And we're going to get into a basic sale. Is really, you can start with just the lane ID and the transaction amount. And also on that website, you can go ahead and sign up for your test credentials. So you can do everything we're doing today from that website. All right, so we switched back to the camera. It actually is already came back and is paired, and it has showing the logo. We have two here, so it's already set up. But it already has the logo, which means it's ready to go. And we are ready to start running our sales. All right, so let's open up the demo app that we created to kind of demonstrate some of this. So we're from Phoenix, Arizona, and spring training's a big deal over there. So we created this demo app to kind of, it's close to home, to kind of demonstrate how a sale might work. This is a web application. We created some JavaScript on Plunker just to kind of run a sample web point of sale. So what should we buy? What do you guys want to get? We're going to go to the baseball game.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs, all right. I'm going to get a couple hot dogs because we're hungry. Notice there's no other beverage options besides beer here. You only get small, medium, or large, but what do you guys drink?
What question is that?
Two large hot dogs. All right. So that's up. I'm going to go ahead and hit checkout. Right when you hit this, you immediately see the payments coming on. So we'll go ahead and do the online chip and pin.
No, listen.
Yeah. So notice here it says insert a swipe card. This is actually, you can take any kind of payment. It can be Apple Pay, debit, credit. It's up to the consumer. But we're trying to demonstrate EMV, so how easy it is. So this is chip and pin. Approved. Remove card. All right, boom, you see the receipt come up, and that is the basic payment flow. So let's walk you a little bit through. I showed you the API in Postman, but now you realize there's one thing missing from that application, right? What about tips? Well, with EMV, you need to know the amount up front. And so we've noticed requesting tips a lot of times are kind of now part of that experience. So we want to do the tips. So you saw the lane ID and transaction amount is all we really had to send before. I'm going to add one other option here, tip options. I'm guessing this is some old options here because I don't have, they only go up to 15%. What should be my options here, you guys think, for a tip? You get 4 options, then they can pin in something else. Probably do a little bit higher tip options here. So what do you guys think? What's the highest we should go?
25.
25, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to go 10, 15.
But you should have also 0.
Yeah.
You don't be able to complain if service is not good.
Is this for the Europeans in the house? No. Well, we do have the option of other, and I'll show what that looks like. But I'm going to go ahead and just send this here, and I'm going to go ahead and actually let me show them both side by side so you can see it run live. All right, let's go ahead and send this. I lost my send button, didn't I? Okay, a little bit more. There we go. All right, so we're sending it. Now, as we go through the flow, we'll go ahead and let's do chip and signature this time.
I think the answer.
All right. So we're going to confirm the amount. This is a random number. So you're going to see 10, 15, 20% or other. Oh, I put 20 twice, so it knew that. I messed that up. Okay, so let's go ahead and do 20%. I meant to typo. It's smarter than me. All right, so now it readjusts the total amount, and that's 886. Hit yes. Okay, we're going to have to add the signature here. Oh, declined. All right. So apparently that amount was too much. But we come back down, you'll see that you show that it did show the tip options was the main thing I was trying to show here. And, oops, get back here. And we'll actually get the response back. We can maybe get some information why it was declined. And so you'll get in an EMV transaction, you realize that it does actually require all the crypto tags. It comes back here so you can print those on the receipt. And ultimately, there's a status code. But we'll move on. It'll pop up again. So, but you saw that the tip actually did show there. And what I wanted to show you also is when you get the email transaction credit card after online processing. So our EMV test app sometimes declines as part of the test scenarios. So the next thing we're going to do, now that I've showed that, is I want to show a little bit of the custom options, the custom screen flows that we can do. So what we have here, we go back to this demo app. So I'm going to toggle this store. So because you guys made me order all these hot dogs and drink the beer, I'm actually going to have a little bit of heartburn, and I'm going to have to get some pharmacy prescription strength heartburn medication on the way home. So I'm going to add one of those to the cart, maybe get some Advil too, because I know I'm going to have a hangover tomorrow. So we add a couple of these things to the cart. Let's go ahead and check out, and I'm going to show again, immediately doing this, go to the screen again. Now you see here, there's different types of screens that were flowing. Here's a verify your address with buttons. You can do some custom stuff there. Just go ahead and hit yes. We're going to go acknowledge you're here to pick up the following prescription. You know, you've seen some of these flows in pharmacies using these pin pads. You're over 18. And then we're going to sign. This is just a general contract signing that, you know, not for the payment. Now we've done all these things. Now we're actually going to go into the payment flow. Insert swipe card. We know that one declined. Maybe it'll actually work this time. Hey, all right. Go ahead and sign. And come back, remove card, and there's our receipt. So that shows you, there is no code running in any of this demo, by the way, except on this pin pad. All the rest of the code is in the cloud and in web-based apps. So now that you've seen this, we're out of time here. I wanted to show you one last thing to show the custom displays. We have the Postman app here. I'm going to go ahead and go to a display. I got this famous Hello World app. You guys tell me, what should we make the pin pad display to prove that this is a live demo? I need to shout it out. What am I going to show up? FinDEVr. And what's your name?
Judd.
Judd?
Judd.
All right, here we go. All right, so we are controlling this pin pad from the cloud all through the internet, and so I don't know if we have any time for questions, but this concludes our presentation.